Says Ruhul Kavir's conspiracy ongoing BNP against. Nearly 40% people believe BNP will form next government, followed by Jamaat Islami with 28.1% says survey. Now in details. Chief Advisor Dr. Mohammad Yunus has said that Bangladesh's upcoming general election will mark the beginning of a new era for democracy in the country. He made the remark during a meeting with the Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo in New York, where they discussed Bangladesh political reforms, social businesses, sports initiatives and global humanitarian crisis, including the Rohingya refugee issue. Dr. Yunus stated that the election scheduled for the first half of February would not be just another election, but rather a defining event that sets the foundation for Bangladesh's democratic future. He stressed that the interim government's reforms were aimed at ensuring a strong democratic transition. During the meeting, Mayor Hidalgo expressed confidence in Dr. Yunus' leadership, praising his commitment to humanity. Both leaders underscored the urgent need for increased global support for Rohingya refugees, with Hidalgo voicing hope that one day they would return safely and with dignity to Myanmar. Chief Advisor Dr. Mohammad Yunus will meet with the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in the New York, USA. He will also participate in various ceremonies at the United Nations. SATV Director Shamsul Alam Panto is joining from New York to provide more details regarding the Chief Advisor's program.
Yes, today on the 24th of September, we are going to see the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, meeting alongside Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus, and they're going to meet at the UN headquarters in New York. This is a follow-up meeting between the Foreign Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister of Pakistan, Ishaq Dar, who recently visited Bangladesh. It's going to be a huge meeting which SATV shall be covering, but topics that will come up between this discussion may include trade, bilateral ties, defense cooperation and resumption of consular level activities. Of course, previously we've seen how the two countries are looking forward to a larger cooperation in the regard of Southeast Asia region issues and regional cooperation between the two nations. But even at an international stage, even an international plateau like the UN General Assembly 80, which is looking at fostering relations between all the nations of the United Nations. But not only so, this time around the question remains how the statehood of Palestine is going to be recognized. Even today, I was earlier on at 42nd and 44th Street, and I have seen how Americans are carrying placards saying that Israel is controlling America and that America remains like a puppet state. So these are the topics that is coming out every now and then in this week's important meeting. We know that this is the high sessions debate week where entire world is going to understand whether the two-state solution can be implemented for the people of Palestine as well as the people of Israel. As we understand that the death toll in the Gaza aggression has now crossed 65,000 who have died as a result of this unnecessary aggression by Benjamin Netanyahu's government in Israel. Of course, there shall be more diplomatic talk between this issue as Donald Trump has addressed Arabic leaders. Today we have seen the Qatari leader Sheikh Mohammed bin Thani, who's also in his speech at the UN has condemned Israel's attack on Doha. So these are the topics that once again we shall be looking at, and over this week multiple nations are going to be holding bilateral talks and sideline events which will be as crucial as the high-level sessions debate week that is going on at UN General Assembly at today's event. We can confirm, viewers of SATV, this big meeting between Bangladesh and Pakistan is to bring very fruitful results for not only the two countries, but also it will be very important for those who are watching us not only at home in Dhaka, Bangladesh, but also those who are watching us continuously around the globe.
BNP Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kavir's speech today said there is no secret alliance between the party and the fallen fascist Army League. Everyone must remain alert to ensure that those who have previously cooperated with the Army League do not attempt to change their stance, said Rizvi after paying tribute at the graveyard of BNP founder Shahid President Zia Rahman. Rizvi, who was accompanied by leaders from the new convener committees of the Pirojpur and Barguna district BNP, urged party members to stay united. There are ongoing conspiracies against BNP. The party must be strengthened at the grassroots level so that the people continue to support the chief of the party in the upcoming elections, he added. The senior BNP leader also criticized the government's handling of the recent incident in New York regarding allegations of an assault on BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir in New York. Rizvi denied any such incident. He further highlighted the leadership of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia and BNP acting chairman Tariq Rahman, praising their contributions to the party. Nearly 40% people think BNP will form the next government, according to a new survey published by Envision Consulting. The findings of the latest People's Election Poll survey show BNP ahead in 6 divisions, Jamaat leading in Rangpur and Awami League in Barishal. The results of the second round of the survey, done by a private consulting firm, Innovation Consulting, with support from Voice for Reform and the Bangladesh Research, Analysis and Information Network, were presented today at the National Archives Auditorium in Agargaon, Dhaka. Innovation Consulting Managing Director Emre Rubaiyat Sarwar presented the findings. The survey shows that 39.1% voters believe BNP will form the next government, followed by Jamaat Islami with 28.1% and Awami League with 17.7%. National Citizen Party received 4.9% and other parties accounted for 10.2%. However, support for BNP, Jamaat and NCP has declined since the first survey in March, while Awami League's share has increased. Dr. Iftikhar Zaman, an Executive Director of Transparency International Bangladesh and head of the Anti-Corruption Commission, Reform Bangladesh, has expressed concern over the absence of clear updates on the implementation of his commission's recommendations. Iftikhar Zaman was talking to reporters at the ACC's headquarters following the signing of the 5-year MOUs between the ACC and TIB. He noted that the Ministry of Law is reportedly seeking expert assistance for legal reforms with a consultant either already appointed or in the process of being appointed. Dr. Iftikhar Zaman stressed that responsibility for implementation rests with the government. Meanwhile, regarding the 6 ongoing corruption cases against former fascist Awami League Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her family members, ACC Chairman Abdul Momen has expressed hope that the verdict in those cases will be delivered by mid-November. Viewers, are taking a short break. Stay with us.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. sophisticated fine dining restaurant.
On Wednesday. According to emergency service sources, 8 people were killed while waiting for food at a distribution center near Rafah in southern Gaza. Medics said at least 20 people were killed and many others wounded in the Israeli strikes on the shelter housing the displaced near Farah's local markets in the middle of the Gaza city. 2 other people were killed in a house nearby. Israeli forces pushed deeper towards the heart of the Gaza city and tanks have been seen in populated and built-up areas on Wednesday. Israel's 2-year-long campaign has killed more than 65,000 Palestinians, most of them civilians, according to Gazan health authorities, and has spread famine, demolished most buildings, and displaced most of the territory's population, in many cases multiple times. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron said if US President Donald Trump wants to the Nobel Peace Prize, he needs to stop the war in Gaza, and he is better positioned to do so than the French. Speaking to the France's BFM TV from New York, where Macron is attending the United Nations General Assembly, he said that only Trump has the power to put pressure on Israel to end the war in Gaza. Talking about Trump's speech at the UNGA on Tuesday, Macron said the Nobel Peace Prize is only possible if Trump stops this conflict. Later, during a bilateral meeting with Donald Trump, Macron said that recognizing the state of Palestinians does not amount to forgetting the deadly October 2023 Hamas attack.
Et donc il faut faire pression sur le gouvernement d'Israël pour qu'il arrête, qu'il cesse le conflit à Gaza.
Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron on Tuesday welcomed comments by US President Donald Trump appearing to shift his rhetoric about the war in Ukraine. Addressing the UN General Assembly in a combative speech, Trump criticized the organization itself, saying it had not supported his efforts to end conflicts around the world. But speaking to the chamber himself later in the day, Macron said the world needed a functioning United Nations. This assembly is us. If it is ineffective, if it because some are blocking it and often the most powerful, he said. In the same speech, Macron said he would meet his Iranian counterpart, Masoud Pezeshkian, on Wednesday. Either Iran makes a gesture and goes to the path of peace and stability and allows the IAEA to do its work, or sanctions will be reimplemented, added Macron.
Ce 80e anniversaire n'est pas une fête. Les conflits armés se multiplient, internes ou internationaux, étatiques.
Viewers, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif met with the US President Donald Trump in New York, USA. The meeting discussed the formation of an independent Palestinian state, and our Pakistani representative Mohammad Musab joined to provide details in the meeting.
Yes, so Palestine has become the biggest issue during the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly going on in New York. Leaders from all over the world are going to speak. This session started with the President of Brazil opening the speech. As we updated viewers of SATV yesterday, that this is a tradition that has been going on since 1947, when Brazil decided that it will be the first country to break the silence. So that tradition follows this year again. The Brazilian president spoke, and it was followed by Donald Trump's speech. Donald Trump mentioned Israel and that the United States will always back Israel. Donald Trump also mentioned that whatever countries yesterday and day before yesterday were mentioning for a two-state resolution, for a two-state push, countries like European countries, Pakistan and other Muslim countries that believe that a two-state solution is the only two-state solution is the only solution to the Gaza war. President Trump said that this is not a solution. He said that he can stop the war. Today, after the United Nations Security Council meeting, leaders of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Indonesia and Pakistan met Donald Trump. They sat down with him in what is speculated to be the biggest sideline event during the United Nations General Assembly. These leaders went in, the media houses were swarmed, everywhere people were asking questions. There were no replies by any world leader, by any Muslim leader. When Donald Trump was going in, media constantly questioned him on what he's going to say. So the moment the meeting started, the first couple of minutes, the US president's media was allowed to come in and make footage. That footage is easily available. I think SATV has already aired that. So he said that we want to end the war in Gaza. We're going to end it. Like always, Donald Trump takes credit for ending wars all over the world. He said maybe we can end it right now. This he said through by making a statement during the first initial meeting before the press briefing before the meeting started. He said this is one that's very important to me because we're going to end something that you have probably never started. Trump also complimented Indonesian Prime Minister's speech to the General Assembly earlier, where the Indonesian Prime Minister had said that peace requires guaranteeing Israel's security. Now, these leaders that met Donald Trump, they came with differing point of views. The Emir of Qatar and Donald Trump jointly hosted this meeting, and this is a fact that needs to be pushed and people need to understand, because Qatar was recently hit by Israel. When the meeting ended, everybody came out one by one. The footage is also available on SATV, exclusive footage from when these leaders were coming out. No leader spoke. Every leader made a victory sign. Some gave a thumbs up. President Donald Trump made a fist. This meeting is going to be followed by the Turkish President Erdogan, who's going to meet Donald Trump on the 25th in White House in Washington, D.C. That meeting will be followed by Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, meeting Trump on a one-on-one meeting in Washington, D.C. So most media is speculating that this meeting was a complete failure. Some media is saying that Donald Trump had his way during the meeting and he made sure that he'll get his way around like he always does, because the US is in a position where it can dictate the rest of the world. But because every leader stayed silent, I think it's best that we do not speculate. This is a topic that will go on till Friday. Every leader will discuss this once they get the floor, and whatever happens from now onwards, we'll keep the viewers of SATV posted. Thank you.
US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter NATO airspace, shortly after NATO nations condemned Moscow for violating Estonian airspace. Trump also said he plans to call Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to urge him to stop purchasing Russian oil, part of a broader push to pressure NATO allies to cut energy ties with Moscow. Trump made the comments to reporters before a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Zelensky said he will brief Trump on the battlefield developments and said they would discuss security guarantees. Zelensky further said he sought more Western pressure on Russia and would discuss how to keep Europeans from buying Russian oil and gas.
Well, with this,
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his allies pressed Russia to halt its invasion and to return to negotiations at the UN Security Council meeting on Tuesday. We stand united in our solidarity and we jointly call on the Russian Federation to stop the killing and enter meaningful negotiations with Ukraine. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha said alongside European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kazakalla said the UN stakeout ahead of the meeting. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told the Council he had met with US President Donald Trump and discussed a few good ideas to advise peace. We expect America's actions to push Russia toward peace. Moscow fears America and always pays attention to it, Zelensky said. Japan's outgoing Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba used his address to the United Nations General Assembly to call for reform of the body's Security Council on Tuesday. Ishiba talked about the council gridlock due to the veto power held by permanent members and cited Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine as an example. Ishiba also said recognizing the state of Palestine is a question of timing rather than possibility and condemned the unilateral actions by the Israeli government, warning that they threaten the path to a two-state solution. Prime Minister Ishiba is expected to step down after a Liberal Democratic Party's leadership race on October 4. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei rejected negotiations with the United States over its nuclear works during a televised speech on Tuesday and said negotiations with the United States served Tehran's interest and would prove a dead end. In a recorded message, Khamenei also said Iran would not surrender to pressure regarding uranium enrichment, and he reiterated Tehran's long-standing official position that it does not need nuclear weapons and has no intention of producing them. U.S. Khamenei's statement comes as Iran and European powers agreed to continue talks about Tehran's dispute nuclear program. Iranian Foreign Ministry said on Tuesday after a meeting to try to strike a last-ditch deal to avert the reimposition of UN sanctions.
طرف تهدید کرده که اگر مذاکره نکنید چنین و چنان خواهد شد.
Fierce winds, pounding rain and high seas battered Hong Kong as Super Typhoon Ragasa headed into southern China after causing a lake to burst in Taiwan, killing at least 17 people. Apart from the dead, at least 18 people were injured in Taiwan when a decade-old lake barrier burst in the eastern Hainan country after Ragasa pounded the island, said regional officials. Meanwhile, Hong Kong experienced widespread damage on Wednesday, including fallen trees and flooding in many areas, with the storm surge smashing the glass doors of an upmarket hotel and flooding its lobby, according to footage circulating online. Ragasa was gradually turning away from Hong Kong around noon, but the city will still be lashed by the hurricane force winds, according to the Hong Kong Observatory, which issued the highest level of typhoon warning overnight. Ragasa has brought significant storm surge, with waters at coastal areas rising more than 3 meters above the reference level, the observatory added. Ecuadorian police used tear gas against protesters in the capital, Quito, on Tuesday amid public anger over the removal of a diesel subsidy. The protest was part of the national strike called by the Indigenous Nationalist Confederation of Ecuador, which saw students from the Central University of the Ecuador unions and local organizations join together in the protest. They had denounced a move by the government of President Daniel Noboa to eliminate a $1.1 billion diesel subsidy that increased diesel cost from $1.80 to $2.80 per gallon. According to protesters, the measures will hit the hay pockets of families. Noboa declared a 60-day state of emergency in 7 provinces last week amid unrest. Before ending, I go through the headlines again. Upcoming election will lay now democratic foundation, said Chief Advisor Dr. Yunus. No alliance with Awami League, says Rule Kovarispi, conspiracy going against BNP. Nearly 40% people believe BNP will form next government, followed by Jamaat Islami with 28.1%, says survey. You're updated with the top story so far here on SATV, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.